Welcome back, everyone. Happy New Year. Marvel just revealed how it's setting up the new version of Wolverine after Hugh Jackman during Captain America 4 New World Order in the Thunderbolts movie. And it turns out they're using the Eternals movie to explain it. There are a few theories it confirms and a few surprises. So we'll break it all down, because in addition to Marvel bringing back a bunch of the legacy Fox Marvel X-Men characters like Deadpool, Patrick Stewart as variants of Professor X, Hugh Jackman, Wolverine, they're also in the middle of explaining how new versions of the characters start appearing in the main 616 Marvel Universe, played by new actors. That was the whole reason why they played the X-Men the Animated Series theme song during the Ms. Marvel series, like, oh, we're gonna start seeing more mutants and X-Men characters showing up really soon. So if you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the videos. There's a bunch of big trailers coming really soon. Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania because of the new year, more Secret Invasion, more Loki Season 2 footage. But new X-Men in the MCU. You may have seen some of the reports in your feeds about everything Marvel's doing with Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts movie. There's so much stuff happening in those two movies because they're happening at the end of Marvel Phase 5. They're intended to be like mini Avengers movies, pushing the overarching plot into Marvel Phase 6. So there's a bunch of characters, a bunch of really cool concepts they're introducing through those two movies. Marvel's new versions of the X-Men characters are slowly starting to show up along with mutants. We've already seen a couple of them so far, like not core X-Men characters yet, but we have seen a few mutants like Miss Marvel and Namor recently. Kevin Feige did say that would continue, more would start showing up in Marvel Phase 5, but like the new big X-Men team with mostly new actors, new versions of the characters would take a little bit longer. Like the new X-Men movie that they're working on isn't currently listed for Marvel Phase 6, so they might be waiting till after Avengers 6 Secret Wars to do it. Like Marvel Phase 7 is the beginning of a huge X-Men era in the MCU. Hugh Jackman coming back as his Wolverine, Deadpool showing up, the other legacy actors having cameos, is just meant to be a temporary thing until the new X-Men debut eventually. And Marvel just confirmed that one of the ways they're introducing those new core X-Men in the MCU, Wolverine specifically, a Wolverine who's not played by Hugh Jackman, is during Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts movie. Marvel's introducing the concept of adamantium using the events of the Eternals movie as a catalyst.
You remember what we were looking for? It helped us create a metal compound so strong that you will be able to withstand virtually anything. It's called adamantium.
They're finally going to do something with that giant stone celestial that's stuck out of the Indian Ocean that they haven't referenced that many times. You'd think that more people in the MCU would be yelling about that in the movies. Why is there a giant stone man sticking out of the ocean? Like they had a joke in She-Hulk, but that's really the only reference that we've had since the Eternals movie. Marvel's changing a little bit of the adamantium storyline in the way that it was created, but they're using a couple comic book plots. They're saying that Timot's celestial body is partially made of adamantium ore, or through his creation, he created adamantium. Not his entire body, like his entire body would be indestructible if that was the case. But Celestials can form their bodies out of whatever minerals they have available to them, and you have to imagine that they get sent to all kinds of different planets, so they have different materials available to them wherever they wind up going. Really good example of this is that some Celestials use vibranium when growing their bodies when they find it on different planets, but it's super rare, so it's not like every single Celestial has vibranium in their bodies. They haven't said if Tiamat is the first Celestial whose body is made of adamantium, or if all Celestials are like this. Probably not, just because vibranium, like I said, is so rare, and adamantium is basically a form of synthetic vibranium. In the comics, adamantium was created by the United States scientists who were attempting to create artificial vibranium after Black Panther wouldn't let them have it. We literally just saw that storyline play out in Black Panther: Wakanda Forever at the United Nations, with Ramonda taking them to task because all the other world nations, Thunderbolt Ross, Val, everybody wanted their vibranium. Some were trying to take it by force. During the movie, Val even specifically told Everett Ross that she dreamt of the day when America controls all the world's vibranium, and initially, a lot of us just assumed that was meant to be a teaser for Captain America 4, the Thunderbolts movie, and she would actually move on that plan and try to use her power to steal some of that vibranium with the Thunderbolts team. Turns out we were partially correct, because there's an extra twist to that. Val and Thunderbolt Ross learn about the adamantium on the celestial body, and it turns into a race to claim it. Like the entire world, all nations, good people, bad people, all want to race to claim all these adamantium and celestial resources on his body. You have to imagine that even without the adamantium, he's still a treasure trove of cosmic energy just brimming out of that celestial body. So anybody with half a brain would try to claim it to either weaponize it or monetize it in some way. It's just so valuable. You actually see something like this going on during the Guardians of the Galaxy movie, because that's why the Collector purchased Nowhere, the head of the dead Celestial, to mine it for all of its cosmic resources. which is where we get to the evolution of the Weapons Plus program, which Marvel has already canonized in the MCU during the Incredible Hulk movie in Marvel Phase 1. During that movie, Thunderbolt Ross specifically mentions that he called the program the Weapons Plus program. He says, "I pulled it out of mothballs. It was basically an evolution of the Super Soldier program."
You're aware that we've got an infantry weapons development program. Well, in WW2, they initiated a sub-program for biotech force enhancement.
Yeah, Super Soldier.
An oversimplification, but yes. And I dusted it off. Got him doing serious work again, bold work.
Across the hall, they're trying to arm you better.
We were trying to make you better.
Each new person who goes through the Weapons Plus program is given a number designation. So Captain America, for example, is Weapon 1. Wolverine is Weapon 10. When we say Weapon X, the Weapon X is Roman numeral. He's Weapon number 10. And in the MCU, they can't create a new MCU version of Wolverine without adamantium for his skeleton, and it turns out this is where they get it. Now that being said, Hugh Jackman will debut as his Wolverine in the MCU in Deadpool 3 before this brand new Wolverine shows up in the MCU with a different actor. Just to give you a sense for the timeline on some of these new X-Men characters debuting, so like we're just seeing them form the next iteration of the Weapons Plus program, then eventually the next Wolverine spins out of that. But you can see how they're using Val to set a lot of this stuff up, particularly the Weapons Plus. That program is also supposed to be how Val creates the Sentry, because the Sentry is also part of the Weapons Plus program. The Golden Sentry formula that gives him his powers is essentially like a new iteration of the Super Soldier Serum. I've already done a much larger video on the Sentry character, so I'll post links down in the description below and at the end of this, but he's kind of like Marvel's version of Superman or Homelander. Homelander is a better example because he seems like he's totally crazy, and because they both got their powers from taking a serum.
Tell me the real reason. I want to hear you say it.
Say it!
Want them to love me.
Yahtzee!
And now, I'll get us through this. Just as long as you and me stick together.
During the MCU, though, the whole idea is that by the Thunderbolts movie, when Sentry debuts for the first time, he's going to be like one of the main villains in that movie. He starts to hear the voices in his head of his other evil self. It drives him crazy, and Val uses the Thunderbolts to clean up her mess, because she was the person who created Sentry in the first place. It's sort of like Marvel doing their version of what the boys did during season 3 with them pulling Soldier Boy out of mothballs to try and take down Homelander. Like, okay, our super powerful character here has gone crazy, we need to stop him at any cost. Captain America 4 is also supposed to be the movie where the new Falcon Captain America starts to assemble his new Avengers team. It'll be a combination of the Avengers who survived Avengers Endgame and some of the new characters who showed up during Marvel Phase 4. The Shang-Chi post-credit scene is a really good example of that. The other really big stuff that they're doing in Captain America 4 are the debut of Harrison Ford as the recast version of Thunderbolt Ross. Marvel recast the character after William Hurt passed away recently. Normally, they would just stop using the character. The reason why they recast Thunderbolt Ross with such a huge actor is because during Captain America 4, they want Thunderbolt Ross to become the President of the United States and the Red Hulk. It is meant to be part of a larger Dark Reign storyline across Marvel Phase 5, starting with the Secret Invasion series, which is kind of how things played out in the comics. It's just they're giving some of the Norman Osborn storyline from those comic book storylines to Thunderbolt Ross and Val. After Nick Fury stops the evil Skrulls in Secret Invasion from destroying the planet, completely taking over all the world governments, Val and Thunderbolt Ross basically take credit for everything that he did and ride that wave to even more political power to win the presidency. But right now, as a Black Panther Wakanda Forever, Val is already director of the CIA. She is already very powerful. The whole twist with the Red Hulk is them paying off the Bruce Banner Hulk versus Thunderbolt Ross storyline that's been going on since the first Incredible Hulk movie in Marvel Phase 1.
God damn it, I want what's inside of him!
Him finally being able to steal the gamma powers of the Hulk. They kind of did a jokey, funny version of that during the She-Hulk series with the Todd character in the Intelligentsia. The connection here is that in the comics, it was actually the Intelligentsia that gave Thunderbolt Ross the powers of the Red Hulk. But because they already used that organization as a joke in She-Hulk, obviously there's going to be a different explanation during Captain America 4. That's also what that whole teaser for Scar, Son of Hulk was at the end of She-Hulk. That was meant to set up the big twist with Red Hulk during Captain America 4, in part of a larger World War Hulk storyline that they're doing across the Marvel movies. Like I said, there's like a billion things that are happening in these two movies, Captain America 4 and the Thunderbolts movie, but that's because they're meant to be the end of Marvel Phase 5, like mini Avengers movies, and they want this big push into Marvel Phase 6 in this really WTF kind of way. But everyone let me know in the comments, who do you want to play this new Wolverine after Hugh Jackman has his cameo scenes? He will be back during Avengers 6 Secret Wars, but they're just meant to be temporary things. Seems like a whole bunch of characters are coming back to Marvel. You can click here to learn about Robert Downey Jr. coming back as Iron Man in new movies, confirming a bunch of theories, and click here to learn about Ben Affleck coming back as a new Marvel character. Thank you so much for watching. Everyone stay safe and Happy New Year.